I'm back this week. Tisha from Frisco East. I'm the student pastor there. And I'm back again this week with Josiah Haken. We're so glad you're here. If you haven't listened to last week's, you need to go back and listen to last week's. And he introduced himself there, but he is the CEO of City Relief in New York, New Jersey. That area. And I love their organization, and we talk about them a lot. And so you've probably heard about them a lot. Josiah, in the last podcast, I didn't ask this question, but I'm going to ask right now. If someone goes on a missions trip through Hope to City Relief, what can they expect when they go?
Well, first of all, they can expect to have their world just blown up.
Mine was,
yeah.
For sure.
It's so
life-changing.
We tell people, danger, serving at City Relief will mess up your life.
Yes, for sure.
But in a good way.
In the best way.
Basically, we are a mobile outreach program that goes out into the streets of New York City and New Jersey, and we meet people who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness, and we set up a block party.
Yeah.
We serve a hot meal. We give out new socks, new toiletries, masks. But most importantly, we just connect with people. We set up a safe place for people to hang out. And so from a volunteer standpoint, what you would do as a volunteer from Hope is that you would be the people who are actually serving the meal, distributing the socks, praying with our friends, and then also just creating the environment where people can feel safe and loved. Mm-hmm. So it's just super easy. It's fun. People are relaxed. People feel loved. And it's an incredible experience. And I just can't encourage you enough.
Yes.
We would love you to sign up for a trip to come up from Hope and just serve alongside of us.
One of the things, I was there last year, and one of the things I really loved about City Relief that I think you guys do so well is you go and you meet people in their community. You're meeting a physical need by feeding them, by giving them drink, by giving them socks, a hygiene kit. Like, you're meeting physical needs, but you're also there praying with people, meeting spiritual needs. And beyond that, you're offering medical support. You're offering services to help people get, a medical card, like different things that they need, that they just might need a little extra help doing that. And they don't know where to go or how to do it or what to do. And you guys are literally just on the street going, hey, we're here to do whatever you need. And honestly, it was completely life-changing for me. And I know I said this in the last podcast last week, but I'm saying it again. If you get the opportunity to go on one of these trips, you've got to go on one of these trips. And I cannot wait to take my teenagers one day. So thank you guys for what you're doing there.
Pleasure.
It's incredible. And it's really cool to see it in action. And I had heard about it for years. I'm not kidding. You need to go to City Relief. You need to go to City Relief. And I had heard about it for years. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. Showed up my first day, literally completely changed my world. It was incredible. So, and I knew that because I was on the street, and we had a gentleman come up, and he was limping, and he was very broken. Like, we were pretty sure his foot was broken, and then you could tell that he had maybe been dealing with some substances and stuff. And so it was just a kind of a tough little situation. And so one of your staff members, Loki, he stepped in and started serving this guy, and he couldn't walk very, very well because of his foot. And so Loki was bringing him food and serving that to him, helping him kind of figure out what he needed. And it started raining. And this gentleman was sitting on a step a little ways away, but there was no covering. And so it started raining on him. And I'm going to start crying because this was so big to me, is Loki got a bunch of volunteers and moved a tent from where it was over this gentleman so it wouldn't rain on him. And I just was like, man, if we had more people in the world who would do that, I think our world would change. And so it was an incredible experience for me. And I will always remember that story and seeing literally the hands and feet of Jesus in action, just doing what I think Jesus would do.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah. So I love being there. Love that story. I'd love to know, Josiah, how can we help our students, our teenagers, grow as servants?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question because, I'm thinking I have 2 kids. My daughter's 10, my son is 8. And I think, for us and as an organization, what we try to do is we try to encourage parents to, first of all, demonstrate what servanthood looks like.
So good.
And that doesn't necessarily mean going out on a mission trip, doesn't necessarily mean, doing something, sort of different or extra. It means incorporating servanthood into your day-to-day existence. So finding ways even just to serve your children, finding ways to serve your neighbors, finding ways to and let your kids see it.
Yeah.
Let your kids see what you're doing. So demonstrate it right from because kids see everything.
For sure.
It's like, it's terrifying.
All the parents are saying amen. Yes. Our kids see everything.
Everything. And they may not act like they see it.
Right.
They totally see it.
Yes, for sure.
So the way we serve each other, the way we serve our spouses, just creating this mindset of service. I mean, so I think that's the first thing. I think, and the other thing I think is then creating opportunities.
Yeah.
So like looking for ways for your students and your kids to engage the world. I mean, one of the things I've noticed over the years is that, a lot of people are concerned about kids and young people leaving the church.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, why are, there's this big exodus of young people from the church.
Yeah.
And my approach would be like, we should do a preemptive strike.
Right.
Like before they leave, we should kick them out.
Yeah.
Like so
Go and do.
Yeah. So like before, if you're worried about your kid or your student like leaving the church and abandoning their faith, like one of the best things you can do is just send them out before they do it on their own with the direction of you exist, you were made in the image of God to change the world.
Right.
And you can go and serve and you can go engage because there's something about serving the poor and the hurting and the oppressed that is fundamental to our value and to our like just sense of self as human beings because we're made in the image of a God who serves.
So good.
So we have to demonstrate it, we have to do it in our homes, and then we have to be intentional about sending our kids out so they can experience it, whether it's on a missions trip or in some other way, but teaching your children to go and not, I mean, I think there's so much fear as parents, just speaking for myself, like there's just so much fear. Like what if something happens? What if something goes wrong and they have a bad experience? I gotta tell you, like the fear of those of them having those experiences later on in life is way worse than having that when they're able to come back home after going.
Yes, and process it with you.
Yeah. So I think that's just so important. And then obviously keeping them, focused on Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Jesus washed his disciples' feet.
Right. Ultimate servant.
Ultimate servant.
Yeah.
So we need to just, I think even, this may sound controversial a little bit, but we're on podcasts. Yeah. We kind of do. But like with my kids, like, yes, we want to teach the Old Testament. Yes, we want to keep, there's so many great stories. Yeah. But we always want to refer them back to Jesus. Yeah. And say like, look, Jesus is the center of our faith. We are Christians. Yeah. Christians. Yeah. So we little Christs.
Right.
So how can we help our kids be little Christs?
How can we go and do that? Yeah. How can we model that? How can we be little Christ, Jesus, to our students, to our kids in our home? And then how do we teach them to go and do that? That's huge. And I love what you said too, like going and doing. I think it's, I love that verse that says, follow me as I follow Christ, right? And so it's us saying like, hey, look what I'm doing. And so hopefully we as parents are modeling what it looks like to be a servant, like Jesus was a servant. Because if you know anything about Jesus or you read anything about Jesus in the Gospels, we know that he went and did all the time. That's what he did. And that is the stories he tells, the healings, the miracles he did. Like he went and did. He was here to serve. That's what he said his whole mission, his whole goal was. He was here to serve. And so if he did it for us, then we should be doing it for people coming behind us, right?
Exactly.
So I love that thought. That was so good.
Yeah, I mean, one last thing that I think about is like when I think about, what Jesus calls us to and what it means to follow Jesus and how do we engage the world in a way that looks and feels like there is a credibility to our gospel that hangs on our service.
Ooh,
and I think the same thing applies to our kids. Like our kids and the students and young people, like they are looking for a credible gospel.
Yes.
And the best thing we can do to provide a credible gospel to the next generation is to demonstrate a gospel that serves.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love that thought. What a great closing thought. Man, I know even for me, right now, sitting across from you, I'm thinking, all right, what can I do with my kids right now? And so I know that we have so many parents who I'm sure listening to this going, yes, what can I do? How can I demonstrate this better? So thanks for being here. Thanks for challenging us with that thought, with this thought of how to help our students become incredible servants. And so much of that hinges on us just being incredible servants too, and just modeling that for them. So parents, I love you. Josiah, thank you so much for being with us again. Parents, you can do this. You're not alone. God is with you, and so are we. We'll see you next time.